Hey guys, behavior trainer here. Hope you guys are well from Teachers from the Hood. Hope you guys are well. Guys, I'm going to go through some tips, lesson plan tips, things that you can include in your lesson plan that will really add to the lesson itself. So guys, without further ado, let me just go down to 6 simple lesson plan tips to wow your students. And let's go down to a few things. Okay, so first things first, look at the whole picture. Now the lesson itself, obviously you have to think about the curriculum, think about how it connects with the other lessons, the previous lesson, the lesson after that. There should be a connection with the whole kind of topic or the series of lessons. So as you do your lesson plan, always think about what happened before and then think about what's going to happen after the lesson. And make sure it's connected, because especially for the students, they want to see that connection. So as you go through your lesson, you're obviously maybe going to touch on what happened previously and what you're going to do today, and then possibly maybe later on at the end of the lesson touch on what you might be doing later in terms of the next lesson. So what this does is it promotes great understanding. It really does. It kind of makes sure that all the students understand what it is that they're doing and that where they're going in terms of the bigger picture. So I always say, like, look at the whole picture and make sure that you kind of, make sure that you address everything in terms of like how it all connects together. So number one would be look at the whole picture, as I mentioned. Number two, they're not in any particular order, but obviously number two is learning objectives. Make sure that you have clear learning objectives. Now I'm going to go through a lesson plan in a minute to show you just a basic structure. But in terms of learning objectives, make sure that that the whole point of learning objectives is that students are learning something in particular. There may be one objective that you want them to take away from that particular lesson, but it's very important that it's clear, that it's kind of understood what the lesson is about at the beginning of the lesson, and so they understand what it is that they're going to be taking away from this, so that the lesson plan clearly explains this, and the lesson itself will obviously go through it. So number two, learning objectives. Number three, incorporate the different in your lesson. Make sure that you incorporate different learning styles. Now I think in the plan itself, just make sure that you try to, as much as possible, touch on explaining or teaching the lesson and incorporating different learning styles. For example, it might be a visual, auditory, kinesthetic, so that all the students can access the work. And it's very important that all students understand the work and access the work, and that needs to be communicated to them. So for example, if you're gonna make sure that the visual learners understand the work, then obviously there may be something like PowerPoints. You might have videos there to explain what the topic is or what you're going through. Auditory might be obviously like your voice, your explanation. Again, it might be something with a video where there's some auditory element to it. And kinesthetic might be something more practical, where it's more tangible and something that they can actually touch and use. It might be something like an experiment if it's science. So as much as possible, what we try and do is make sure that all students access the work by including all the different styles of learning within the lesson. So as much as possible, try to think about your lessons and think about what else can I incorporate within this lesson which has the different learning styles. Number four, wow your students or wow the students. Wowing the students really simply means that just go that little bit extra. What else can you do to add to it? So I touched on it just now, where you've got your lesson, but you might actually add a demonstration. You demonstrate how something works. You show an experiment. I mean, if you can't do that yourself personally, then you might do it through a video, and that's perfectly okay as well. So actually showing something working, how it works, or what it does, whatever it may be, it adds that kind of wow factor for the students, and it gives them, adds that interest for them, makes them more interested, because when you see something working, or in practice, wherever it may be, it just makes it just more real. The other thing is structure. Structure to ensure learning and understanding takes place. So, the lesson should have a structure. Should have a beginning, a middle, an end. Should have like maybe a do now task, something that you can do very quickly at the beginning, and then it links nicely to the main task in the middle, and then it also connects well with the end tasks or the consolidation at the end. So there should be a connection between really the different parts of your lesson, as I said, from the beginning to the end. Again, think about what you're trying to do. So when the students come in, the beginning should be like a grabbing their attention, getting them focused very quickly. The middle part is kind of the meatier part of the different tasks of the topics, get them to understand the work even better. And at the end, it might be a kind of consolidation of learning, checking for understanding. So that kind of thing. Number 6, timing. Timing's so important. It's so important to make sure that the lesson is timed well. Make sure that it's snappy. Make sure the pace is good. Practice the lesson. Sometimes, when you're trying to fit a lesson within an hour, let's say, it's very hard to do that. So think about maybe not adding too much. Maybe lesson, create a lesson where you've got enough time to cover a topic, but maybe if you need to go into detail, you might need to kind of do something in another lesson. So don't overdo a lesson sometimes. Sometimes we try to overdo things. Try to keep it simple. Try to keep it snappy. Try to keep it interesting. Try to keep the pace of the lesson really good, and keep in mind like the outcome of the lesson. So, if you've got too many things going on, just break it down into different lessons and then go over it in another time. That's all you need to do, guys. Just keep it simple. Okay, this is like a breakdown. If you like this information, check out the free PDFs with the resources that we got in the link below, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.